You just signed up for your free movement assessment and you don't know what to expect. I'm Coach Rob, personal trainer here at Gold's Gym in Newburgh. This is our fitness director, Spencer Shaw. And today we're going to show you what that assessment looks like, why we do it, and all the practicalities that come with it. First assessment is our toe touch test. Spence, if you could take your shoes off for me real quick. I'm going to take mine off as well. How this is going to work, Spence, going forward, I'm going to kind of demonstrate what it's going to look like, and then I just want you to go for it from there, all right? So you're going to keep your feet comfortably underneath you, and all I want you to do is reach down as far as you can to the ground, keeping your knees locked out for me. Good, and as far as you can get, Spence?
Yes.
All right, cool. I'm just going to put a little pressure on your knees here to make sure they stay locked out. Good. And where do you feel any sensation, Spence?
Just in my hamstring.
Back in the hamstring. All right, can you just hold that position for one more time for me? I'm just going to see how far away from the floor you are. Perfect. So we're about 2 inches away from the floor, Spence. Good, you can come on up. And you felt that in the back of the hamstrings anywhere else?
Yep, just in the hamstrings.
Awesome. We go over this assessment to see if there's any limitations within the low back, the hamstrings, and the calves, to see if we have any impingements or any type of movement limitations that will prevent us from getting into squats, lunges, deadlifts, movements of that nature. The next assessment is going to be our shoulder abduction test. So Spence, I'm going to be standing behind you, keeping your arms to your side. If you could just bring your biceps to cover your ears and then hold that position for me, all right? Awesome. And just keep that there for me. We're good there. We're good there. Now can you just shrug up in the air for me, Spence, and then come back down? Perfect. And then come back to the side. Awesome. Any weird pain sensations with that one, Spence?
No.
Awesome. So we go over this assessment to see what, again, the client's capability for pressing overhead is, if they have the mobility or flexibility to get into that range of motion. So if they're coming out overhead this way, or if they're able to keep that arm close to the head and drive up forward. The next assessment is going to be our ankle dorsiflexion test. So we're going to use this test to see what someone's capability for squatting is. So Spence, I'm going to have you come up to the plate for me here. At the 4.5 inch mark, can you put your big toe there for me? And then bending that knee into the box, keeping that foot straight and the heel to the ground. See if you can touch this for me. Okay, Spence, cool. Good, relax. Can you just come in a little closer for me? Let's go to the 3. Perfect, Spence, thanks. And then can you do the other foot as well? So start off with that 4.5. Good, and that one's a full touch. Awesome. Now, did you feel any weird impingements, pains, or anything like that, Spence? No. No? Awesome. We go over this one to see what the client's ankles are giving us. So if there's any sort of pain, any limitations, so that when they're squatting, they don't have their knees tracking over their toes too much, their ankles aren't coming up. So this is more for you to assess someone's squatting capability. Next assessment is going to be our shoulder flexion test. So Spence is going to bend his knees, so his feet are flat on the ground. All right, Spence, so what I want you to do from me here is I want you to raise your right arm up into the front of your body. Yep, keeping your thumb flat, driving it all the way back to the floor. Perfect. And then bring that back home for me. And then do the same thing with the left here, please. Bring it all the way back, nice and flat. Good. Now can you do both at the same time? Bring that one to home. Drive them straight back. Perfect, Spence, and come on up. Good. Any weird pains, sensations, limitations that you can feel, Spence? Awesome. We use this assessment to see the person's capability for their shoulder flexion. Again, if there's any limitations coming up overhead, for any sort of pressing patterns, or any sort of movements that are going to require overhead, things like pull-ups, movements of that nature. The next assessment is going to be the wrist extension one. So Spence, if you can get on all fours for me, placing your longest finger at the 4.5 inch mark for me. I want you to take your shoulder and just lean forward in to hit the box, keeping that wrist as flat as you possibly can. Perfect. Good. And come back. Any weird pains or sensations with that one, Spence?
No.
Awesome. Let's do the other side. Keep that there. Awesome, Spence. Go ahead and come back in. Again, any weird pain sensations with that one?
Just feel a little bit.
A little at the top? All right, cool. Take note of that. We go over this assessment to see what the client's capability for their wrist extension is. So if they're doing a front rack position for front squats, anything potentially oppressing overhead, to see where we might have limitations regarding movement and mobility for the wrists. So this is going to be our supine hip flexion test. This one here is going to be determining how you set up into a squat positioning, whether you're going to have a narrow, medium, or wide stance. So Spence, I'm going to throw a lot of information at you at once, so keep up with me. I'm going to be taking your hip, and I'm going to be your knee, and I'm going to be driving it in towards your chest. That's going to be slot number 1. Going to reset it, go to slot number 2, which is your armpit, reset it, and then slot number 3, which is going to be your out to your elbow. I want you to tell me if slot 1, 2, or 3 feels the best. I'm also going to have one hand underneath your small of your back just to see if there's any deviations within your low back, okay? And just try to stay as relaxed as possible. All right? So here's slot in position number 1, Spence. And we're just going to try to keep that straight leg down as much as we can. Perfect. And then we're going to reset. Position number 2. How you feeling, Spence?
Pretty good.
Good. And then position number 3. Good job. So Spence, position 1, 2, or 3, which one felt the best?
3.
3? Awesome. All right, then if you could switch legs for me. We're gonna do the same thing on the other side. So same positioning, same legs, same slots, I should say. Here we go. Good. Number 1. Good. Number 2. And number 3. All right, Spence, 1, 2, or 3?
Same thing, 3.
3?
Yep.
Okay, so Spence gave us that he felt good in slot number 3. So when he's setting up into his squat, he's gonna be in a wider stance, making sure that he's driving his hips down towards the ground. Spence, did you have any other pain or limitations when you feel in it?
Just felt tightness in slot 1.
Slot 1? Cool, so we'll take a note of that, making sure that we don't set him up into a narrow stance because we want to make sure he's in his strongest position possible. Our next assessment is prone heel to butt. So, Spence, what I'm going to be doing with you, I'm going to be grabbing your ankle, I'm going to be driving it in towards your butt. All right, I'm going to try to push it in on one go. You're going to feel a sensation in the front of your quad. There's going to be a nice little pull there. Okay. That's normal. If there's any sort of super pain or anything that's like says stop, just let me know right away. If I can't get it on the first go, I'm going to ask you, can I keep pushing? Can I keep pushing until I can hit your butt or not? All right? Okay. For this one, Spence, I just need to be as relaxed as possible. Relax, relax, relax. All right, here we go, Spence. Driving it in. Awesome, making contact there. Perfect. How'd that one feel, Spence?
Good.
Good. All right, let's step around, do the other side. All right, same thing here, Spence. Relax, relax, relax it. And here we go. Good, Spence.
Good.
How'd that feel? A little tight in that one? Yeah. Okay. Our last test is kneeling heel to butt. So Spence is going to come standing straight on up in a tall kneel position. Spence, if you could have your big toes touching the back like that, perfect. Can you just sit down onto your ankles? Awesome, and we're checking to see if there's any space in between his ankles and the floor, and his butt and his heel, and Spence is looking good. Spence, do you feel any pain, sensations, limitations anywhere?
No.
Awesome. We use this assessment to test our clients' knees and ankles to make sure they're setting up in a safe squat positioning, to see how their bodies are moving during lunges, patterns that are going to require knee flexion and plantar flexion as well. We use this joint by joint movement assessment to see how all of our clients are coming to us. We use this to make sure that you're moving in safe ranges of motion so that we can get the best feedback possible, so when we're developing your program for you, we know how to attack if there's any sort of limitations, anything that's going to be holding us back from progressing. If you're coming to your first free movement assessment, all you need to do is wear some comfortable clothing to move in, a water bottle, and a can-do attitude, and that's all we need from you. I'm Rob Wolfe from Gold's Gym in Newburgh. This is Spencer Shaw, the fitness director of Gold's Gym in Newburgh. Thank you for watching this assessment. Have a great day, guys.